Good evening, everyone. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Peter Biancamano, here at the beautiful Colo Club in Hoboken, New Jersey, located at 1422 Grand Street, where the first presidential debate has just ended. And boy, I feel like interrupting everybody on my panel right now, because that's exactly what I feel both candidates were doing. But we're so happy to be joined by a really good-looking group here. You know, usually you got this ugly mug, but today, I mean, this panel is just unbelievable. We want to thank our political guy, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, for putting together this great panel tonight. And I'm going to introduce them one by one. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you tonight? All right, thumbs up. I like that, exactly. So starting with Mr. Jeremiah Kohler, please let the audience know where you're from.
Hi, I'm from Hackensack, New Jersey.
Excellent. Jacqueline Price?
I am from Jersey City via Franklin Lakes.
All right, okay. Pavel Sokolov?
Hi everyone, I'm local here to Hoboken.
Hoboken. Mr. Rafael Franco?
I am from Cranford, New Jersey.
Okay. A familiar face to Hoboken, Dana Weaver.
Hi, I'm Dana Weaver. I used to live in Hoboken, and now I'm in Woodridge, Bergen County.
Excellent. And of course, last but not least, the most well-dressed, I would call him, for the type of event tonight, and that's Ramon Hernandez.
I'm from the city of Newark.
What was that?
I'm from the city of Newark.
Excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, they all told me I could say this on television, and that is that they all part of the Republican Party. So we are going to ask them their thoughts and insights regarding tonight's debates. And folks, just so you know, later on, for most likely the second or third presidential debate, we will be doing another event with a Democratic panel. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But tonight belongs to the Republicans. So why don't we start with Mr. Kohler. Mr. Kohler, the first question for all of you actually is, what did you see as the most interesting topics in tonight's debate?
I honestly thought the most interesting topic tonight was one that's happening right now, is the law and order. I feel that President Trump is a law and order president, and I think that's what this country needs the most at this time. And I just found that really interesting that he was able to articulate what this country needs and how we can do it. And I just felt the other side was completely lost.
Great. Jacqueline?
The criminal activities of Joe Biden's son.
Very interesting.
Doesn't that ring a bell?
Pavel?
I found the most interesting topic the road to economic recovery after COVID. Before the pandemic, we had record low unemployment and a booming economy. So I'm excited to see how Trump will bring us forward in the future.
Okay. Rafael, excuse me. I called you Ramon.
I found the most interesting debate tonight because President Trump actually addressed how he perfectly managed and did not panic during such a great and terrible pandemic that affected millions of people, not only in the United States, but throughout the entire world. How effectively, patiently, and courageously he actually managed the whole country without creating and posing creating panic on the public.
Interesting. Dana Weaver.
So I thought the most interesting topics were actually the ones that were cut off by Chris Wallace. I'm really interested in Hunter Biden's connections to China and Russia, but we repeatedly saw those topics cut off. With the topics that they were allowed to discuss, I thought that the information surrounding COVID was really interesting, particularly the president's response in terms of both the disease itself and also the economy, which he clearly really cares about and is also important to people in New Jersey since we've seen the state shut down.
Interesting. Ramon.
The very interesting I noticed about how he able to close down the country because of the COVID pandemic that happened by China, and Joe Biden and everybody else criticized him for protecting the people, and he's considered one of the best. He's considered the best president America needed.
Okay, excellent, great. Ramon, don't drop that microphone because we're going to start with you for question number 2. Do you believe the president came out stronger or weaker after the debate? And by your shirt and your hat, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but try to give, a independent answer, let's just say. It's all yours.
The way I saw Trump had come out for Biden is he's considered so strong. He does not let people cut him off. He doesn't let people stop him. He knows how to fire away, and all that arsenal he carry. He knows when he knows what he's dealing with someone that's not that smart as Trump, because Trump is a highly intelligent president, and we need a guy like that.
Okay, interesting. Dana?
So I thought this debate was really interesting because it was largely a battle of the wills and who could yell the loudest and assert themselves the most strongly. In that regard, I think Trump clearly won. There was nobody that was stronger than he, even though Chris Wallace kept trying to insert himself. So I think that in that regard, Donald Trump took the debate. He was able to insert his opinion and his positions wherever he wished, and I think he made very good and strong points throughout the entire evening.
All right. You can hold on to that, Dana. They got their own. Mr. Rafael, please.
As a military member myself,
Thank you for your service.
Our national security is one of our top priorities. And it was pretty well addressed by the president that our military need to be taken care of. And he addressed the point that the opposition was not able to take care of the military during their operations, during the Obama administration, and will not be able to take care of the military in the future operations as a president. So the fact that the president of the United States, Donald Trump, has actually addressed our security is it's posted him as our first candidate.
Pavel?
I definitely feel that President Trump came out much stronger after this debate. He demonstrated strong leadership and a strong personality that we've seen throughout several years on the global stage. He greatly emphasized his key victories, especially with the economy, and pointed out the many failings of Joe Biden throughout the years.
Jacqueline?
I think that the president.
Could you please pick it up? Sorry.
I think that the president came out stronger for the American people overall than Joe Biden. Joe Biden really doesn't have any plans. All he wants to seek is power for the deep state, which kind of wasn't mentioned but implied. And I think President Trump is there for the average American, and I think he's doing a great job, and I think he will win this election.
Thank you. And Mr. Jeremiah?
I believe that President Trump came out much stronger tonight. You can tell that he has a passion about everything he works for, and it just showed it. He has a passion for the people. He has a passion for the military. He has a passion for the working man, and that showed today. Joe Biden is just blah. That's it. He's much stronger tonight.
Thank you. So, my third question here, I think kind of got answered in my second question, so I'm going to try to ask this in a different way. So the original question was, did Joe Biden come out stronger or weaker after the debate? But I think you all kind of answered that as weaker after the debate. But let me ask you this. Do you believe, and anybody can jump in, do you believe that, were you surprised or not surprised about his debate performance? Did any of you actually think that he was going to be worse than what he actually was? Go ahead, please pick up the phone. Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Quite honestly, I thought Joe Biden was come out very, I'd say, minimal. And I think Trump came out very strong, which I kind of anticipated, because really Joe has no plan. And I mean to say, he's been in Congress for maybe 40 years. And if he was vice president, if he was going to change anything under the Obama administration, I think he would have done it, So by him just spouting all these different forms of political control, whatever, I don't think Joe has a clue, actually, because he didn't in the last 40 years. Why should he in the next 4 years?
Okay. Anybody else want to add anything? Yes, Rafael first. And then you, Dane, I swear.
Our country is going through COVID-19 recovery right now and has been devastated. Our economy has been impacted. What we need right now is leadership. Throughout this debate, it was pretty clear that when you spend most of the time accusing and calling the President of the United States a liar, then you totally have no respect for yourself, no respect for the people of the United States that have elected the President. So that doesn't show leadership. That shows that you are less than a follower. And our country does not need that at this point. Our country needs a strong leader, somebody who can think on their feet, who can act on our behalf.
Okay. Dana.
expected Joe Biden, I know that there's been questions about his mental state, but I expected Joe Biden to come off stronger than he did. This is a man who had almost half of a century in Congress, 8 years as vice president in the White House, and I expected him to be more polished and just a little more on top of things than he was. So I was surprised because I thought he came off as very weak. In particular, I thought he came off as very weak when he was challenged by Trump. He seemed almost submissive, and I didn't get the feeling that he would be a strong leader for the country. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really have that feeling going in, but I expected better from him, so that was really disappointing.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to add? Yes, Pavel.
I fundamentally believe that our candidates owe it to us as voters to take strong stances and make their positions clear. I was consistently disappointed with Joe Biden's refusal to answer simple questions regarding court packing, his stance on law and order. How can we make an educated vote if one candidate refuses to make a stance just for political points?
Anybody else? You're good? Ramon, please.
Well, the way I see from Joe Biden, it's almost like, well, over four decades in Congress and did nothing, and now he's trying to go for he's going for the presidential race because he's a puppet. He's got to do what the left does. This is a guy who can't even, almost like he's almost weak as Bernie Sanders. He only wanted to become the president because he doesn't like being number 2.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else on that question? Because we're going to move on.
Joe proved
Microphone. Jacqueline, microphone.
Sorry, darling. Joe proved himself to be a wanking doodle.
Okay, on that note, I think it's time to move on. And we're going to start with Mr. Kohler. And this question's for all of you. We're going to go in order. What was your number one highlight moment of this debate tonight?
That's a tough one. Number one highlight, I would have to say, I guess it's a tough one. Well, the highlight was that Trump was debating 2 people tonight. He was debating Chris Wallace, and he was kind of debating Joe. He kind of rolled him over. I think it was more of a debate between Wallace and Trump. That was my highlight tonight because, it just shows how strong he is. He can take 2 opponents on at once.
Jacqueline?
The highlight was that this gives me happiness. This gives me proof that Trump will win, provided the mail ballots are not fraudulent and thrown into the garbage.
Pavel. Number one highlight moment's the question, in case you forgot.
As ethics and integrity are always important in a presidential election, I definitely enjoyed President Trump calling out Biden for his son's ties with Ukraine, Russia, and China, accepting foreign money, while at the same time claiming that he's above it all and blaming Trump for something that his family is guilty of doing.
Mr. Rafael.
The number one highlights that I noticed in tonight's debates was the fact that the president demonstrated with all facts and evidence that he was prepared to become and continue being the president of the United States for the next term for 4 more years.
Dana?
I agree with Pavel. I think that the most important moment of the evening was talking about Hunter Biden's dependency on China and the Ukraine. Nothing is more important than America's independence from other countries in the world, and the idea that we might have a leader whose family is dependent on these foreign leaders is really concerning to me. So I was happy to see the president come out strong on that issue, even though Chris Wallace kept trying to stop it.
Ramon.
I would agree with what she said from Chris Wallace. He's becoming more like an Anderson Cooper back in 2016 between Hillary and Donald Trump. And everybody went for Donald Trump because he knows Hillary's a bad person, and she's going to end up going to jail, and that's where they got cut off. Same what's going on with Chris Wallace. Because Biden, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. He doesn't, almost like his brain has just left and went to vote for Trump.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you, most of you hit on this, and this was a question that I was going to sneak in to the actual original list of questions that I had, and that was about Chris Wallace. Because sitting there as a journalist, I wouldn't say, I didn't really see it as a 2-on-1 as much as I think you saw it as a 2-on-1. But sitting there as an unbiased journalist, I think he was asking a lot of gotcha questions. And I think that he showed a lack of professionalism for a moderator. And let me know if any of you agree or disagree with me on that one. And feel free to jump in. Now, actually, the question should be, should Peter Biancamano have hosted the debate tonight instead of Chris Wallace? There you go. Finally, I'm getting my credit. Go ahead, Dana. Peter, there you go. Finally. Boy, I never thought there was going to be a Peter chant after a Donald Trump chant tonight, but that's okay.
Our great divider.
All right, let's move on. Thank you for that, Dana. You made me feel all warm inside. Ramon, this question, we're going to begin with you. Each of you will have, obviously, a chance to respond. Do you think the debate performance of Trump or Biden will motivate any particular segments of society to move one way or the other?
Well, to find out the way it's moving, I see people are more they want to search more for Trump's campaign instead of just Biden, because since Biden's campaign, which a lot of these businesses are performing for BLM, which that goes directly to Biden's campaign, and nobody knows about this. And even Biden will not. Biden always keep talking about support for law enforcement, but he won't say that because he's going to lose a lot of votes, and the left will go after him like a platter. But I found out the Democrats are actually giving all that to Trump. The more negative they go to him, the more Trump wins. So I suggest that all that surge is going all the way straight to Donald Trump.
Dana?
So this is the unvarnished truth. The unvarnished truth is that the mainstream media acts as a mediator between the president and the people. And for the last 4 years, what most people have learned about what's going on in our country and what the president is doing has been filtered and spun through the mainstream media. So in my opinion, any time that the American people can hear from the president himself is going to work in the president's favor. So I am certain that tonight's debate favored the president.
Rafael?
So the country is going through a lot of uphills, a lot of trouble, and the social media and the media in general is not making it any better. The left and the right, we're talking about division, but we're not really telling the truth to the people. And when the president of the United States actually comes up and actually tells the truth, some people tend not to like the truth. And that's because they just don't like to do the right thing for the rest of the American people. They're thinking about themselves, while the president is thinking about everyone else. The president has a very tough job to do, and to step on his shoes and be the president of the United States and lead this nation into the right way is a tough business. So during this debate, it shows that Biden didn't show certainty, didn't show too much of an approach of a path, of a clear path. In particular, because he has already been as a vice president, being close to the president and being in the position of leadership. He should have been acted as if he already knows what he's supposed to do. So for him to act in such a way tonight, it shows that he cannot be a leader, he cannot be our president.
I think now more than ever, many people are anxious and unsure of the future. With the COVID pandemic, riots and violence rising throughout our country, we need strong and decisive leadership. I think President Trump once again displayed that he has what it takes to make hard decisions and chart a clear path forward to our country. For so many people who are worried about their futures, Joe Biden did not come out strong. He came out as weak and as someone who is not capable of making hard choices, resting on laurels and failures from decades ago instead of looking towards a brighter future for America.
Actually, personally, I don't think that the average American raising their children, working, making a living, taking care of their house is really interested about Black Lives Matter, the Marxist organization, Antifa, that's rioting everywhere. Who the hell wants to get involved in this crap, you know? The average person just wants to keep their home, they want to keep their kids, they want to raise them, educate them, and have a great life to pass on to their children. All this other stuff, the rioting, that's not for the American people. There's a lot of silent majority that's going to vote for Trump, believe you me.
And Jeremiah.
I believe that that the American people are going to move more towards President Trump after tonight's debate, because Americans want to work and they want security, and honestly, he proved that he can do that in the past, and he proves that he can continue to do that, even though sometimes, you know, the left has their people out there just causing mayhem. And I believe the local news more than the mainstream media, hands down. I'd rather get my news from a tweet than I would from the media. No offense to you.
No, listen.
The mainstream media. Yeah, but I believe that, as it was said before, when the president speaks, the people listen and they believe him.
How many members of the media would do something like this, though, correct?
Not that many.
That's right. That's right. There are some good ones out there, trust me. All right. Next question, and we're going to start with you, Jeremiah. Are you more motivated after watching the debate to engage in activism to get the president reelected? Do you believe the GOP base is more engaged? And more importantly, will undecideds be engaged?
I actually think so. Myself, I would never do anything like this ever. I'm a person that hides behind the camera. To be here just shows the motivation that I have now to let the people know that, you know, this president needs to be reelected. If we don't do it, it could be disastrous. We're on a slippery slope right now, and I honestly believe if he's not reelected, we're going to slide right down it. And I believe that he has motivated the base, and especially the independents.
Yeah, because they decide elections, correct?
Absolutely, yep.
Jacqueline?
With Joe Biden, you can vote yourself into communism, but hell, you have to fight and shoot your way out of it. That's what I totally believe. I don't want that for my children. I love America. I never want to see this country a communist nation. And believe you, I've spoken to a lot of people that come from a communist nation. So Trump 2020.
Pavel?
Well, going into the debate, I was already very motivated to support Trump, but for argument's sake, let's say now we're at 120%. But definitely watching him debate, I think watching him advocate, especially for the common American, focusing on the recovery, jobs coming back, and people returning to a sense of normalcy, that should, of course, motivate the GOP base, as he is our president, much like the president of the entire United States. But for the undecided voters, they should look to see who's actively fighting for them, who had a booming economy, and now who's working hard to get that economy back on track, no matter what.
Raphael?
It was very clear in New Jersey when the president traveled to New Jersey and had his rally here in New Jersey, how many people showed up. Okay? In a democratic state, how many people showed up there just to see the president of the United States, Donald Trump. So, advocates all over the state, all over the countries, are active and waiting for the president of the United States, even when he lands on his plane. There is thousands and millions of people just waiting to see him, just landing on the plane, people. Okay, it's a difference from other presidents when they landed on their airport and there was not enough people to watch him. Here we have a magnet of people following him. So for those who don't believe that, who do not believe in change, change is happening and will continue with the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Dana?
There is nothing more motivating than a win. And tonight was a clear win. So the president's motivated base is going to come out even more motivated. Biden can't compete with it.
And Ramon?
I am highly motivated by Donald Trump. He is the only man who can crush any politician out there in America. There's no other president like him. It will take about 3 Obamas to get through him, but Trump will always crush them number one. This is a guy who knows what he's doing, and he's not a politician. He's a businessman. He knows exactly what's going on with the country. People mocked at him, and guess what? He ran for office, and he won. And people started hating him because he knows what's going on. And people are stuck with the mentality that it's going to stay the way it is. But this is a change that's actually happening. And there are people out there who are afraid of it, but there are people who want that change. Because even in this world, there are people living in fear. There are people who want an opportunity, not just any class, but everyone out there. People have a right to succeed in life, no matter if it's high or low, anywhere. But this is a man who actually willing to give anyone a chance out there in life, like any people out there who can succeed. And that is a man who has pulled he's like a fire that even if he creates something more tremendous, it creates a firestorm that the Democrats has run in fear. And they'll do anything to sabotage the election because they know they can't win. And Trump will always win because we need President Trump. Not just we, America needs it, and the world.
All right, well, guys, we have come to the end. I think I should end it on that, right or wrong? I mean, we want to thank Jeremiah Kohler, Jacqueline Price, Pavel Sokolov, Rafael Franco, Dana Weaver, and of course, Ramon Hernandez. We know that the debate was pretty wild, and we kind of put you in front of the lights here, and I think you guys did a phenomenal job at expressing your viewpoints. And as you can see, the crowd loves it too here. So folks, thank you for joining us on this Pulse with Peter B web exclusive. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. We will see you for our show this weekend. It's our 2-year anniversary. You're not going to want to miss it. Have a great night, everybody.
The Pulse with Peter B is a proud partner of Eyes on NJ.